Hello everybody. Organization and management of early childhood care and education centers. Today under this we are going to deal with the lesson Introduction to Organization and Management of Early Childhood Care and Education Centers. The objective of this lesson is to understand the basic concepts related to the organization and management of early childhood care and education centers. The first 6 to 8 years of a child's life last a lifetime. Known as the early childhood stage, these years are globally acknowledged to be the most critical years for the lifelong development. Since the pace of development in these years is very rapid, the recent research in the field of neuroscience has provided a convincing evidence that experience-based brain development in the early years set neurological and biological pathways that affect the health, learning and behavior throughout the life. It is in these early years of life that are critical periods. They are located for development of several cognitive, social and psychomotor competencies which significantly contribute to the later success of life. If these critical periods are not supported by or embedded in a stimulating and enriching physical and psychosocial environment, the chances of the child's brain developing to its full potential are considerably and often irreversibly reduced. The research finding places a very large percentage of children in poverty contexts, particularly in the developing countries, at risk in terms of their life chances. This early childhood stage is also important because it is a foundation for inculcating social and personal values which are known to last for a lifetime. It follows logically that these years are crucial and important for investing in a ensure to enabling environment for every child and thereby giving a sound foundation for the life of that child. This is not only the right of the child, but also it will impact in long term on the quality of the human capital available to that country and whose main asset in the years to come will be its youth power. The important principle of child development substantiated by research and have steered the evolution of programs for the young children from just preschool to the concept of more integrated and holistic early childhood development programs. What are these principles which have steered to the evolution of these early childhood programs? The principles are that the child's early experiences and the outcomes will determine the extent to which he or she will gain subsequent interventions, since child development is a continuous and cumulative process. A child's cognitive learning is affected by his or her socio-economic status through the child's health, like the malnutrition, the iron which is a micronutrient deficiency, and sometimes the parasitic infections. All these are going to affect the child's health, and also not only this, the quality of home environment will also affect the child's development. And the third principle is that the child developmental gains will be optimized and more sustainable if the program addresses not only the child but the child's overall context, including the family. So, these are the reasons why early childhood education programs are given more important, because it is a crucial stage in the life period of an individual. So, after having understood the importance of why we have to start the early childhood education programs, let us now move on to understand what this early childhood education center means. Early childhood period, as we have already understood, is the most important and crucial period of the life. And the goal of any early childhood center is to the development of child as a whole. The program of early childhood education center should include all the kinds of activities and experiences to meet this goal. Why do we need the early childhood education centers? The demand for early childhood education centers are increasing day by day, everywhere, particularly in urban areas. Why? Because to cater to this need, many early childhood centers are coming up with and sometimes without even understanding the significance of early childhood period. Early childhood center acts as a transition between the home and school. It should provide group activities and learning experiences for overall development of the child, like the social habits, the language, the motor skills, self-confidence, creativity and intellectual growth. The early childhood centers should provide the basic foundation for the child's future growth and development. The early childhood care and education centers promotes already formed cognitive skills by avoiding intellectual stagnation. The early childhood care and education centers should give a companionship of age mates for early socialization of the children. It should also promote the better adjustment to formal schooling. It preserves the human resources by tapping the skills and abilities of the child and channelizing them towards the creative growth. The early childhood education centers facilitates in terms of material, experience and learning situations for the child to explore and learn. Whoever is promoting the early childhood education program or movement in different countries at different times have put forward various objectives aiming the all-round development of the child. All-round development means development in areas like the physical, social, emotional, intellectual, etc. Even the Educational Commission certain objectives for early childhood period in India. The objectives are to develop a physique, adequate basic motor skills in the child. The second objective is to develop good health habits and to build up a basic skills necessary for personal adjustment. The third objective is to develop desirable social attitudes and manners. The fourth objective is to develop emotional maturity and guide the child uses to express, understand and accept his feelings and emotions. The fifth objective is to encourage aesthetic appreciation in the child. The sixth objective is to stimulate intellectual curiosity in the child concerning his own environment. The seventh objective is to encourage creative self-expression in the child. The eighth objective is to develop the ability to express his thought and feelings in a fluent and clear speech. These are the objectives of having a early childhood care and education centers. The first objective in starting a early childhood development center is to develop a good physique, adequate muscular coordination, basic motor skills in the child. The early childhood education center should provide activities for the development of large muscle as well as the fine muscle coordination. Suitable outdoor equipment for climbing, jumping, sliding, swinging, paddling, etc. should be provided. Through all these activities, the children will be mastering the basic motor skills involving the large muscles. The second objective is to develop good health habits and to build up basic skills necessary for personal adjustment, like dressing themselves, toilet training, eating, etc. In a early childhood education center, the children are taken to toilet for washing hands and at regular intervals. They are told about the necessity of brushing the teeth, combing the hair, taking bath through free conversations, through stories and puppetry, which helps the child to develop proper health habits. The children are encouraged to do their own work and be self-reliant. Third objective is to develop desirable social attitudes and manners. To develop desirable social attitudes and manners, the early childhood education centers should encourage the healthy group participation by making the child sensitive to his rights and privileges of being a members of a social group, and to encourage him to cooperate, share and take care of the property belonging to him as well as others. The fourth objective is to develop emotional maturity and guide the child to express, understand, accept his feelings and emotions. The early childhood education centers should help to develop emotional maturity by guiding the child to express, understand, accept and control his feelings and emotions. A child has very less emotional control when he comes to school. He often has temper tantrums. He can hardly wait for his turn. He is often unable to take no, but by proper and careful handling by the teacher, he gains better emotional control by the time he leaves the school. Fifth objective is to encourage aesthetic appreciation in the child. Encouraging aesthetic appreciation in the child means many beautiful things will be present in the child's environment, but unless the child's attention is drawn to these, they do not notice them. The children should be encouraged to appreciate beauty in environment such as pretty flowers, colorful butterflies or even a beautiful view. The sixth objective is to stimulate intellectual curiosity in the child concerning his environment. The child should understand the world in which he lives. A stimulating environment will help him to foster new interests through opportunities to explore, investigate and experiment. A young child is very curious and always asks questions. Unless his questions are answered, his curiosity will not be satisfied. A child can take many things if they are properly explained to him. At the same time, the child should be encouraged to investigate, experiment and draw his own conclusions rather than remaining satisfied with ready-made answers. The seventh objective is to encourage creative self-expression in the child. With the help of painting, music, drama, puppetry, a child is encouraged to express himself in the school. He is helped to work on his own and create objects that are of his choice. By this, the pent-up emotions, the stress and strain are expressed by the child through such creative activities. The eighth objective is to develop the ability to express his thoughts and feelings in a fluent, clear speech. The language development of a child depends to a great extent on the opportunities he gets to use of language or listen correct speech. Through storybook reading, free conversations, puppet plays, etc., new words can be introduced to the child. The child is encouraged to talk in a group, describe his own experiences or join in the spot story making activity. It leads not only to the development of vocabulary, but also it helps to develop a correct and clear speech. This is about the objectives in starting a early childhood education centers. The basic requirements. First, we will consider age. What age group of the children should be joining the early childhood education centers? The minimum age range for the children should be for nursery 2.5 to 3.5 years. For lower kindergarten, the age of the child should be 3.5 to 4.5 years. For upper kindergarten, 4.5 to 5.5 years of age of children should be admitted. In first standard, the age of the children should be 5.5 to 6.5 years. For the second standard, the minimum age of the child should be 6.5 to 7.5 years of age. This is the age requirement. Then comes the duration. It should be for 3 to 4 hours, preferably in the morning, as the young children can actively participate during this period. For 2.5-year-old, this period may be shortened by another half an hour basing on the convenience of the center and the convenience of the child. For some schools like the daycare centers, it may be longer because the young children sometimes have to stay back at the center till their parents return from the job. Let us see the space. How much space should be required in our early childhood education centers? It should have adequate indoor and outdoor space for the children to give a freedom of movement to the child. 30 by 40 square feet of indoor space and 80 by 100 square feet of outdoor space is desirable for each child. Otherwise, the minimum requirement is 25 by 30 square feet of indoor space and 60 by 80 square feet of outdoor space is necessary for each child. Then, what should be the size of the class or the strength of the class? This depends on the type of the school, the age of the child, the space available for each child, and the qualification and experience of the teachers. Staff. The teachers who are working in early childhood education developmental centers ought to be well qualified, and they should be dedicated to work in these early childhood education centers. Along with the teachers, all the staff members in early childhood education centers need to be professionally trained and are quite fit physically and mentally to deal with these young children. They should also attend some refresher courses to enhance their knowledge and efficiency in the field of early childhood education. After having understood the staff, the age required and the amount of space, let us see the teacher-child ratio. Teacher-child ratio is a very important factor for effective working of our early childhood education center. The ideal teacher-child ratio for younger age group of the children will be 1:8 or 1:10. Sometimes in some centers we can even see a ratio of 1:15 for younger age group and 1:20 for older age group children. There should be at least 2 helpers to take care of the child. So, 1 teacher and 2 helpers for 15 children in the age group of 2.5 to 3.5 years. And for the children in the age range from 3.5 to 7.5 years, they can have 1 teacher and 2 helpers for 20 children. The 2.5 years children need a very close supervision and help from the adults. Therefore, the child teacher ratio should be very ideal. On the other hand, the older children, they might be needing very less help. As such, the teacher is able to can take care of large number of children in this group. Generally, the children in the age group of 5 to 6 years are more ready for regular and systematic work. They develop interest in reading, writing and number work. So, it is easy for the teacher to manage a large group of children when compared to nursery. So, depending upon the age group of the child, the teacher-child ratio can be decided. This is about the basic requirements in an early childhood education center. The activities for each day should be arranged properly. They should include different kinds of activities like indoor, outdoor games, stories, songs, music, dance, painting, modeling, nature study, etc. All these help the child to keep equally interested in all items. They should be planned in such a way so as to achieve the objectives for proper growth and development of the children. Now, let us see the building. how a building of early childhood education center should be. The building should have at least 2 halls with adequate storage space, a kitchen, a sick room and sufficient number of bathrooms. The building should have good lighting and ventilation. Low hooks for bags, clothing accessories, child-size toilets and wash basins should be present. The flooring should not be very smooth or very rough, and it should be very easy to clean. Colorful and attractive rooms which are away from the crowd and noisy areas. The windows should be broad and low height shelves which help to develop independence in the children. A shady open playground with fence for the safety of the children should be present. A sand pit and an enclosure for water play should be present. Provision for future expansion and gardening should also be provided in that building. Good teaching material and learning material should be available in an early childhood education center. So, these are all the requirements in a building. Now, let us see what are the equipment required. Equipment is the most essential for running a early childhood education centers effectively. The teacher needs a variety of equipment to provide the children with challenging and interesting learning experiences. Different types of equipment are necessary for the development of muscular coordination, language, creativity, imagination, cognitive and social skills. Now, let us see what is the area of development and what type of equipment is required. The physical strength and motor coordination. For this, the equipment required will be the jungle gym, swings, balancing boards, merry-go-rounds, slides, climbers, large building blocks, sand and water toys, the wheel toys, etc. These are required for developing the physical and motor coordination. And for language development, what do the equipments required? Books, pictures, flannel cards, photos, tape recorders, etc. Dramatic play. For this, the equipment required are the costumes, puppets, safety mirrors, child-size furniture, doll accessories, cooking utensils, etc. Creativity. To develop creativity in the child, the equipment required are the paints, watercolors, dough, clay, crayons in plastic as well as in glue, scissors, hole punchers, painting brushes and different textured papers are also required. Musical activities. Musical instruments like manjiras, drums, flutes, mouth organs, record players. And for cognitive abilities, construction of toys like beads, unit blocks, building blocks, puzzles, block accessories are required. For discovery and science, natural materials, textured materials, magnifying glasses, magnets, weighing measurements, cans, mirrors and scales and small pet animals to teach the animals for the child for developing this science abilities in the child. What are the basic necessary equipment? This includes the furniture, equipment for cooking, feeding, washing, cleaning, teaching aids and play material. The optional equipment includes for puppet show, doll horses, aquarium, projector, computer. All these are optional equipments for starting a early childhood education center. So, today we have understood the importance of early years and the need for starting a early childhood education and development centers. We also understood what are the objectives should we have in mind before starting a early childhood education centers. Then we have understood what are the basic requirements, and we have also understood the building requirements, the curriculum and the equipment. So, we have understood basically all the concepts required in a early childhood education centers. Hope you have understood the lesson. Thank you.